Hey guys, Music Man here, back with another Identity 5 video. In this video, this is going to be the first in my series for some Violinist gameplay. Violinist is a character that I relatively recently picked up as an alternate hunter for me to play, but I have a feeling that I'm going to be playing him a lot more in the future. So without further ado, let's get into some gameplay. Alright, so my first match I'm going to show you is on Eversleeping. Eversleeping is probably one of the Violinist's weaker maps, just because the smaller the map, the better it is for Violinist, because he has nothing for mobility as far as that goes. So you can see at the beginning, I take the tram. Violinist has low mobility, so it can take a while just to get up to the first survivor, so I just took the tram to speed up that process. And I come across the Gravekeeper first. In a team comp like this, that's not exactly the ideal first kite, since Gravekeeper can waste a lot of time with his shovels if he's really skilled at using them. But just because the mobility, I end up chasing him first, and he actually, if I were him, I would have shoveled a lot sooner, but he thought he was kind of out of range there, so he didn't worry about it too much. But I was able to exploit that to get a really early first down. So at this point, I'm kind of looking around, trying to find someone that might be coming for a save. But you see what I do here is, as soon as my peepers charge up, whenever I walk by a cipher, I just throw a peeper down. That's all you have to do. A lot of people overthink your peeper placement, but there's really only, well, I guess there's 3 ways I would choose to place a peeper. One is I always like to place one by the chair so that if they do get rescued behind my back, I know what direction they go to. That's the reason why I do that type of placement after I down a survivor. 2, you want to place a peeper down where survivors are looping you. So one effect of the you side placed a peeper right next to a cipher there again, but peepers do slightly decrease movement speed. So if you're getting hardcore looped in an area, you can throw down a peeper to slow down the survivor. So that was that's one way that you can use your peepers to your advantage. And the last and final way I use my peepers is, like you saw before, I did multiple times. You just, whenever you walk by a cipher, just throw one down. That's all you have to do. Really simple, but a lot of players tend to overthink it when that's not really needed. You can see I'm chasing this Enchantress here. Not exactly the ideal kite. I really like to see that prisoner, however, I'm not able to find him at this moment, and I have no idea where to search for him. So I am still going to chase the Enchantress, and I'm going to rely on these notes to try to slow her down. And I already got a hit on the Enchantress. See, I'm getting really close on these notes, but this is some of my earliest gameplay where Violinist relies a lot on precision with those notes, because the hitbox for the note lines is really small. So if you're able to hit them, you can deal a lot of damage really fast, but that's just something that I personally need to work on. See, I'm getting really close there. And see, this is an area where I tend to get looped sometimes a bit. So what I did there was I placed a peeper, was able to slow her down slightly to the point where I was able to get a down on me. Now, she also could have stunned there, but she was probably expecting me to try to swing in front of the pallet there. But you see me do it every time. Just walk by a cipher, place a peeper. Now that coordinator was able to kind of sneak past me there. Also kind of helped that she had a skin that was like a black costume. So that's more difficult to see. And there wasn't much I could do about that. I was trying to stay back to see if there was a way I could get that to hit a wall or something. But now at this point, there's one cipher remaining, so now I need to disrupt really bad. And I see the prisoner over here. I'm sure the Enchantress is gonna get healed at this point, but it doesn't matter if I get the down if the cipher's primed. So at this point, I'm just trying to disrupt the ciphers, wait for the right time. That was a really, really close note line there. But again, like I said, the hitbox for that is really, really thin, so it's really tough to hit that correctly. And I can see they're working on this. Oh, I thought they were working on that cipher there. No, they're over here. They're kind of stuck on this cipher, so I kind of latch on, and then I'm like, okay, I'm going to kind of come back here. So at this point, I figured that the cipher's primed, so I don't want to hit a survivor. If you hit a survivor with that, they'll be able to just use your hit recovery, and they're just going to be able to heal back up on you after the cipher pops. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to get hits with the note lines here. So I was actually able to use abnormal there, and now I can hit a survivor. You can see how I did that there. And that's something that you can do too. If you get to that point, you can wait till the recharge gets up and just try to use your skills to get hits. Yeah, that's the pain about Enchantress, is she gets free stuns a lot. Now that was a really bad placement on my part. I have no idea how that happened. I didn't even know that could happen. But it did. And now at this point they're jumping out the window. What I like to do is I like to run up-down on my Persona build for Violinist, but there are a lot of people that, or not up-down, or right-down, but there are a lot of people that will actually go up-down with Violinist to get that window trait in there. So now at this point, see, it's really tough ability to land. However, I was able to follow up. Again, I only want to down using my skills because I don't know how close that cipher is. If it's primed, then we all kind of know how that turns out in the end. So now I'm trying to stuff the save here. I know this is an important save to stuff, and I was able to get the Terror Shock. However, they were able to get the Cipher Pop and get right back up. And that's the annoying thing about Enchantress stuns. That would have been a hit. Now at this point, I really want to win. However, it's going to be really tough here. But what I'm trying to do here is I'm just trying to contain the coordinator for long enough to the point where I'm going to be able to see really, really close there, but that hitbox is really, really small. So I should have waited a little bit longer to do the Final Presence ability there, but right now I'm just forcing her to eat up all her pallets here. And what the coordinator is trying to do is trying to stall time for the Enchantress to get back up. But as she runs out of areas to go, that kind of left her with not much to work with. So the Enchantress is still up. Again, she's got her stuns, so she's going to use those. And I'm just like, okay, contain, just keep her away from the gates. If she stays away from the gates, there's absolutely nothing that she can do. And she's using up like all her stuns here. And I was able to get it down on the Enchantress. Now, Enchantress has already used Exit Path, so I'm not super worried about that. The coordinator just got back up. And at this point, the prisoner is the only one that's left. And the prisoner just decides to take the loss. But that's the end of game one. You can see I'm still getting used to the ability, but as I play him more and more, I'm sure my gameplay will improve eventually. And the next one's on Leo's Memory. Leo's Memory is another really tough map to play Violinist on. I mean, he's not awful on this map, but just because there's some of the areas that he's able to work more around. However, again, like I said before, large maps are not the violinist's strong suit, and thus this makes a pretty tough map to play violinist on. Now, I'm presuming the lucky guy thought that he would be able to get that over that pallet just because the short attack range of the violinist is actually pretty... I think it's relatively short. I mean, or it just might be short in comparison to other hunters I play more. Like, his hitbox is short compared to the... for sure compared to the Feaster. Feaster's got a really big hitbox here. Now the mercenary's just trying to meditate some of the notes off. But I'm trying to stick around. I was expecting a save before half. I've played enough to get to the point where I kind of expected someone to try to save before half, but also I have seen it too where survivors decide not to go for a save because the survivor doesn't kite for very long. So I'm just over here. I should have been closer to the chair there, but I was able to hit the lucky guy, and he's now dead on chair. But now all I have to do is follow the lucky guy, and I already have my first down at 4 ciphers remaining, which puts me in a really good position. Basically, I've got like a guaranteed draw at this point and win if I play my cards right, but it's going to be really hard for the survivors to get back in the game after that really, really slow start, especially because the mercenary was decoding like none of that. And the first officer's got... this is a relatively slow decoding team, especially without the lucky guy in here, because first officer already has really bad base decoding. You combine that with the mercenary, you got pretty slow decoding team, which actually makes it so that I've got plenty of time to do what I need. Now, the first officer uses his pocket watch there, and that's basically like a free kite. It's really hard to hit a first officer using a pocket watch. And you see what I'm doing here? Just walking by ciphers, placing peepers. That one slows down the decoding, but it also helps in that you're able to see where the survivors are at. So that's really convenient. You're able to see where the survivors are at. So if you don't know where to go to next, like say you lose a survivor during a chase, you'll be able to see if a survivor is either breaking a peeper or trying to decode at that area. So now at this point, I probably could have gotten away with a hit there, but I ended up getting away with a terror shock there. So peepers are really good on violinist. They help out with his ability. You can also justify bringing blink on just about any character. So I have seen some violinists play blink, not that many, and something that's just kind of a personal preference of mine, but sometimes I'll occasionally play patroller. That basically gives a guaranteed hit, and that makes it really easy on you to get a double hit there. So what I do is I just spam peepers on, because I don't want him to get up before the end of the chair. And that's actually showing... I didn't even really think about this until then, but the secondary ability, the one where you throw all the notes after every attack with no hit, without stopping every hit, that actually helps a lot in the overall... that helps whenever the first officer uses pocket watch, because then you can just keep swinging until one of them is the lucky hit. So the first officer is back up again. I decided to chase the mercenary, since at this point it doesn't really matter. 2 ciphers remaining, and both of them decode really slow. So the mercenary does have his elbow pads, I believe. This mercenary does a really nice job here, though, and I sometimes get distracted with using the notes to the point where I miss an opportunity to do a regular hit, and that's kind of something that I also need to improve on, is using my regular attacks to my advantage and don't get distracted with trying to get a note attack every time. I've gotten pretty good at that with like other hunters, like I used to kind of be that way with Bon, but I'm getting better at that. Again, that's another thing for Feaster players to think about. Just overall, if you have an opportunity to use a regular attack on a survivor, don't think every hit has to come from an ability, although that may be a relatively higher skill thing to do, to be able to get a hit using an ability that's not just a base attack. Overall, in the speed of the game, you want to get your down as quickly as possible, however that means. Now, I had no idea where he was. I just kind of threw that down, but it didn't really matter too much. I got the first officer in a really tough situation here. You can see I'm getting really close hits here. And at this point, all I need to do is play defense because the dungeon is right here. Just make sure he doesn't get near. I'm going to spam my peepers here to slow down his speed. And now at this point, I just need to try to get a hit in at some point. You can see here, I'm just playing defense. I'm not taking any risks here. But I do end up getting the down. And that's the end of game number 2. And again, I'm still getting used to Violinist, so... but hopefully as time progresses on, I'll be able to get more precise with my ability, would be the right word. And I come across the Enchantress here, but things like that, hopefully I'll get more used to that and being able to get those hits that could mean the really early down or the 60-second kite. Of course, with Hunter, you know, you're going to want to get down as quickly as possible, so this is really important to Violinist gameplay. I end up coming across, like, some pretty tough characters to chase here. Ideally, I would have wanted to go against the Seer here. I think in this match, I did end up banning... Priestess. That's just something I like to do on this map. So on this map with Violinist, I'll either ban Mercenary or Priestess. Usually I ban Mercenary because Mercenary is a pain, you know. Especially with it's like the one character that's able to get a save against a Violinist. That along with Coordinator are some of the only characters that are able to get saves. So if I was that Perfumer, I would have kept running because there's not much for her to do at this point. See, I'm getting really, really close. It's just going to take a little bit more practice to get all the way there. I'm not a pro violinist at this point yet. But I just want to show you some gameplay, try to maybe help you all out with some strategy. And I ended up, in the end, getting the lucky hit on the Perfumer. So, 4 ciphers remaining, but this, actually, this isn't a slow decoding team. This is about normal. What I'm doing next here is, I know the Enchantress is around, so I'm going to try to get a double hit on her if possible, but now at this point the Enchantress is far away from the chair, so I want to make sure I know where that rescuing survivor is coming from, and it looks like it will be the Enchantress, but at this point I'm just trying to stall until after half. And now it's after half, so my point is now just rush the save. And now I've got my ability here, so... oh, and the Enchantress had a stun there. I would have had an opportunity to get another hit on the Perfumer there, but that didn't end up happening. You can see I'm getting really close there, but just not quite precise enough. So that was annoying. That was auto target that I have on. Like the in-game where you're able to, it'll like adjust to the survivor or whatever. Ended up targeting the mercenary there. So that was annoying, but all in all, I got another hit on the Perfumer here. And I was able to get a double hit on the mercenary. So now the mercenary can't rescue. And that's the one survivor that I usually just straight up don't like coming for the rescue. Now, this mercenary should have only come near during a rescue. His health would have been much more well spent that way than trying to body block. But I do end up losing the mercenary, so don't get too caught up with one survivor. Sometimes it's good to move on if you can't find a survivor, because that can be a way for them to really waste a lot of time off your hands. What's really important at this point, as I said, 2-on-1 ciphers remaining. You really want to get to patrolling those ciphers. So you can see I'm doing that here, and the survivor is actually leading me to a cipher. It's the Enchantress here. The Enchantress has been doing a really good job this game, building up stuns, being able to get some kites in. And now I end up getting a hit with my note line there. So you can see what I kind of did there. What I did there was I tried to predict where the Enchantress was going to go, and I thought that she was going to try to go into that pallet there. And I did end up getting that hit. So if you're really good at predicting where the survivors are going to go with like kiting loops and stuff, and you don't get juked off, then Violinist might be a character for you. Again, 2 ciphers remaining, but one of them does have to go for a save. I was predicting that the mercenary would be going for a save, and he did. He ended up sneaking past me here, but look at this. I end up getting a hit right there. And I use my secondary ability there, get another hit on him. And I nearly did a triple hit there. If he didn't have his gauntlet, that was going to be a triple hit there. So if I were him, if you're going to be approaching the save as a mercenary, if you get hit by that line, stay on that middle line. The middle line won't hurt you during the... the middle line won't actually hurt you during the final presence attack, so you can use that to your advantage. You'll be able to sit on that so you don't risk a triple hit. Especially if they decide to use it like what I was, where I was using it straight onto the chair. So now I'm just kind of trying to get the seer down. He's looping me pretty hard here. And I believe at this point I already switched to teleport, but I'm not really sure. So I could have justified placing a peeper there. Oh, never mind. I still had peepers. That was another point where you see he was losing me. I could have justified playing a peeper there, but I just used my secondary ability instead. Especially because the seer had 3 stacks, so he was already pretty slow. But there's 1 cipher remaining, so again, patrolling the ciphers here. But I'm also kind of looking for dungeon at the same time. Keeping an eye out on the chair, seeing if they're going for a rescue. And I do end up eventually coming across the mercenary here. He ended up using his wand right away. There was probably a better way he could have done that, but again, all I really need is 1 hit on the mercenary, and then he's going down. and I end up getting a normal attack on him. So that's pretty much the game. Again, I'm just kind of starting out with him, so a lot of this gameplay is going to improve in the future, hopefully, so I'll be able to be more accurate with my skills. Well, I hope you all enjoyed that video. As I said before, this is a hunter that I've been recently picking up, but I'm planning on practicing him more and releasing more gameplay in the future. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to my channel. But other than that, thanks for watching.